Sakamoto Days, the opening came out. I don't know if any of y'all are tapped in enough to have seen that on your feed. I unfortunately have. I've been inundated with it. I've been seeing it a lot. And I saw the opening, and honestly, the opening is like the least important part of this discussion. It kind of just springboarded me seeing a lot of this. It was, to call it maybe a little much, it just wasn't very good, right? The visuals kind of, the song was cool, but the visuals were just very subpar, very boring, very whatever, right? He faked that. Yeah, I was under that impression as well. Use clicks, attention, blah, 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 usual social media stuff. But in any case, right? You see the Sakamoto Days things, and I've been seeing a lot of people being like, don't. I've been seeing two ends of the spectrum of like, damn, bro, Sakamoto Days is probably not going to be animated very well versus Sakamoto Days. Does it need to be animated very well, you heathen? Animation isn't all that matters. Blah, blah, blah. Woo. And I'm kind of the opinion that I'm like, yeah, bro, I like good animation in my anime. I personally think it's integral to being like a good one. I don't actually think, half-form opinion, I don't know if you can have a good anime that has ass animation, like genuinely butt doo-doo shit from a toilet kind of animation, right? Just a personal take. It's like so integral to what it is, like whatever, sue me, right? Anyways, I've been seeing people kind of have that conversation or argument over Sakamoto Days and like just basically like what makes Sakamoto Days so good. And I've just been seeing a lot of what I feel like is fronting about why niggas really come to Sakamoto Days, which is like, bro, people like to pretend it's all aura and rawness and fights, but like people just aren't willing to look into the deep themes and characters and story. And listen, I'll be the first person to say I like Shin. Like I just think he's a cool character. I like Sakamoto, I like Nagumo, I like Shishiba, some others, sure, right? But I feel like here's the thing. I'll clarify with this, right? Some people just believe that. Some people have that perspective. Some people can justify it with their own reasons, X, Y, and Z. I don't give a fuck. Like that, I'm not talking to the people there. If you like it for that, you like it for that. That's cool, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's this very maybe not delusional, but kind of insecure I think like desire to be associated with depth and complexity. That isn't just the case with Sakamoto Days, but is the case with like a lot of different anime and manga, because there's this association with that and quality, and that not only is not only if something isn't deep or complex, whatever those nebulous concepts mean when it comes to storytelling, it means it's not good. But even further than that, there's this sort of like determination that if it isn't commonly viewed as good, you liking it is like this negative thing, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know, it was just an interesting thing of like, I basically am of the opinion, right, that while I value the sort of one-dimensionality of something just being good at one thing and one thing only, a lot less than being capable of writing from multiple facets.
Okay.
I'll just come out and say that I think being able to write some shit to be consistently cool and entertaining is just good writing, flat out, no debate.
Yeah.
Right? It like a story is, among a lot of other things, a vehicle for entertainment, right? If you're just good at being entertaining through whatever means consistently, you're good at writing.
Yeah.
Just point blank, period.
I would have to agree. I think people kind of overemphasize the importance of these aspects. Like, not so much in that like they're not important, but like you don't sign on to a story because like you think the themes look cool. There are no themes for you to like experience, right? You don't see a cover of like Naruto on the shelf and think, damn, bro, the orange probably represents some crazy shit. This character must be lonely as fuck, right? That's insane. That's an insane thing for you to do. And like I know people don't like it, but you know the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover. That's what they're there for. Like sometimes that's really all that gets people through the door is a fucking nice ass cover. Shit, dude, we've done like tier lists of JJK's cover art before. Because we understand, like, hey, this shit looks fucking cool. And for a lot of people who are probably, who have never read the series or might first encounter it, out there in the wild, in the real world, like on a shelf somewhere in a bookstore, in a manga store, in whatever situation they come across, that they are going to make a snap judgment and it might affect how they open up the book. Dude, like, I think we've done it before, right? Or at least I have, right? And I'll tell you right now, like I've picked out a book just because it looked a little bit cooler on a bookshelf, and then like given it like that second look. It didn't mean like this is without fail everything I did. It just means like it's a slight edge that it gives it, right? Because nobody looks at a cover and goes, "Damn, thematically the shit's gonna go hard because you don't know that. If you are
Mhm.
not buying into the art, the premise, like on the blurb, if you're not buying into the synopsis, if you're not buying into any aspect on the surface of the book, you will never truly pick it up unless otherwise prompted. Just
Mhm.
it's just not how people work. And I think if this kind of applies to once you're actively engaging with or reading the material as well, like once you crack it open, you're experiencing everything for the first time. And sure, these themes, these parallel, like all these writing elements will like flash up as you encounter them, but like you're building off of the surface level information constantly. You're using it as the baseline for all this shit constantly. And if you don't enjoy the foundation, you're not going to enjoy the rest of the building.
Yeah, and honestly, take it a step further than that. I think it's fine for that surface level shit to be all that there is, because like once again, it's not necessarily gonna make it better than something that does both, right? Like I'm gonna be someone that's like, I'm at Kagurabachi over Sakamoto Days because I think Kagurabachi nails the coolness and other aspects that I like in a battle shonen, right?
Mm,
But there is this weird for some people, right? I'm sure, like I said, I've already gave the caveat. I'm sure some people just genuinely find there to be depth, complexity, et cetera, blah, 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 right?
yeah.
But there's this weird defense mechanism that people have when you're like, yeah, bro, this shit is like if you said this shit is exclusively good because of fucking aura, raw tax, whatever other buzzword, blah, blah, blah. Niggas would be like, yeah, bro, that means it's ass. Like, no, it doesn't, you fucking Neanderthal. Like, bro, solo leveling is another example of that where like people kind of like rag on it, like, damn, bro, it's just the Sung Jin Woo show. And that shit was kind of fire. Like, I
Hmm.
like, what do you want me to tell you, bro? Like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's not fucking, I don't know, Vagabond or whatever the
Yeah.
fuck, right? But not only is not every story trying to accomplish that, its aim is to be entertaining in a specific way. Now, if your criticism is that you weren't entertained, cool. You didn't have
Yeah.
something to chew on after the story, cool, right? But making something cool or making something entertaining consistently is a writing element. Being good
Hmm.
at that is being good at writing elements. It'd be like the same thing as if, like, it's like
Like for
character writing, plotting,
yeah.
theming, all of those things are just elements. It's like world building. It's like fucking, it's like all of these things, right? A
Hmm.
lot of stories don't have amazing world building. However, you wouldn't just be like, bro, oh, is this just a character writing fest? No world
Hmm.
building in my manga, no fucking intricate lore. Like it just sounds so fucking like childish, right? To say that. It's
Hmm.
like I just think people have a very it's
Like
like this it's
yeah.
this view that kind of comes up that I feel like out of this desire to not feel stupid,
Mm,
right? To not feel like a simpleton, kind of like it maybe feels a little silly to be like, yo, bro, this shit is good because it looks good and it's fun. And I can like explain why it's those things, right? But at the core, its appeal are these things.
like I don't know. Like I weirdly think about something like comedy anime or just comedy series in general. Like their main goal is to make you laugh, right? Like
Mhm,
all this shit, excuse me, about like the characters, the drama, whatever. Foundationally, to be a comedy, to be a good comedy, it has to be funny, right? If it
mhm,
doesn't do that, it fundamentally fails at what it needs to do, and what it sets out to do, right? Like so you could just say like, oh my god, dude, I watch The Office and they keep making all these fucking jokes all the time. It really like puts a damper on all the drama that I'm into. And it's like that's a crazy way to watch The Office, right?
yeah.
But you're like meeting somebody else who's watching it like kind of as intent, like not to be a dick here, but like it's a fucking comedy. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. Like not every story needs to be Citizen Kane, and not every story is trying to be.
And not every story is worse than Citizen Kane just because that shit is just like dumb fun. Like even like the concept of that is like kind of demeaning towards that genre of media IMO because I think it just dismisses the art of doing that. It presumes a simplicity of doing that shit, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
like it presumes this ease of accomplishing that, right? Like if I asked everyone in here, probably me and Creams included, hey dude, write something on a weekly basis, not probably, definitely me and you included, write something on a weekly
Yeah.
basis that has shit, 20 people tuning in
Yep.
regularly, excitedly.
throwing up
Womp
all over
womp.
myself. Yeah.
Failed. Because, bro, that shit, it's a skill. It's a skill to write good characters. It's a skill to employ good themes. It's a skill to present things very well. Like, nigga, if you ask me, hey, bro, I'm gonna need you. Like, I joke about like Hokuzono having a genuine fucking like an aura quota each week.
Hmm.
If you ask me to fill that shit, on the first week I'd break down and start sobbing, bro. Please, I can't do it,
I'm
bro.
not like him.
That's not me, bro. My pen isn't. It's just regular ink, bro. His shit shines when it hits the paper. That's not fair to me.
Oh
Like
shit.
that's a skill. It's just a skill to do it. There's an art form to doing that well. There's an art form to doing that consistently. Niggas didn't just like Takamura, for example, is like one of those characters that was raw in Sakamoto Days. Everybody respected him when he popped up. Not every story is able to have something like that. Not every story is able to do that. Like I said this, I tweeted this out. Nagumo versus Gaku remains one of my favorite fights of 2024, despite being like 2.5 chapters and having almost nothing in the like narrative, thematic richness, parallel fucking going on between Nagumo and Gaku. That shit was just hard
That
and
shit
it was
was
presented
raw.
spectacularly.
Hmm.
And just off that alone, I'm not really saying it's one of my favorite. I'm saying it's one of the best that I read, right?
Hmm.
And I think niggas just got to be a little bit more willing to stand on shit, being like, yeah, bro, I probably couldn't explain the thematic and narrative nuances of it, but I can tell you about like how this made me feel in
Hmm.
spite of those things, and that's kind of what art intends to do in a lot of ways. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it seems to be good art to me based on my
Hmm.
standards.
Like I think to shonen series a lot, and I don't know about you, but this is something I've actually been kind of thinking about as I've been rewatching Naruto.
Hmm.
But I was thinking about like how something like Naruto blew up if you were in middle school, despite it dealing with something so heavy all the time. Like
Hmm.
as an adult, you kind of like it's crazy that Naruto is the way that it is, and it's kind of it has like the veneer of this like immaturity to it, just from like the outside looking in, like I was for so long. But like
Hmm.
a friend of mine was talking about how like the only thing he knew about Naruto was like Rock Lee versus Gaara and that first opening
Hmm.
where it's like very bouncy and colorful, where he thought it was like
Yeah.
a goofy little like shonen, and to some degree it has those elements, right? But it also
Hmm.
like these are child soldiers, right? In like a never-ending cycle of violence that's pretty much depicted faithfully to the manga, you know, minus
Hmm.
the odd censorship here or there. But like I kind of think like if you're in middle school watching this, right, you probably don't clock consciously the complexity, nuance, or like scale of what's happening, right? You're there because that
Hmm.
shit's fucking gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it makes you feel something, or you're like you like the characters, right? Like, dude, here's the thing. People think I think people think you work back, like you work from, oh, it's thematically resonant to
No,
it's good. A lot of the times it's, dude, Sasuke's the
it's the
coolest
coolest
motherfucker
motherfucker
ever, bro.
ever.
He's
Yep.
rewired my brain chemistry. Let me figure out why.
Why?
And then I
Yep.
think and then I break it down.
Mm.
But first I have to feel that
Like
because
my hot take
it's
is sorry, like because
yeah,
it's
go ahead.
pretty much gonna be
Yeah.
what you're saying. So my hot take is that if you don't give a shit on a meathead level foundationally for anything you enjoy, you're not gonna give enough of a shit to break it down. Because why would you? It's a time investment thing. It's an effort thing. If the series doesn't make it worth your while just to love it, but like just on first watch or just blindly or on the most basic level imaginable, you're not gonna give a shit.
And that's why people can get so many different things from so many different series. Like, for example, right? Niggas love Black Clover. Niggas love Demon Slayer, right? I'm not gonna sit here and say Gotege and Tabata had no sort of higher level thinking, thematic, narrative, blah blah blah, you know, whatever, deep, complex theme, whatever, right?
Mm,
However, I didn't care enough to read into it. So for me, it failed at kind of clearing that condition, right?
mm-hmm.
I'm sure Oster represents the Nietzschean philosophy of whatever the fuck,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Shout out
However,
Radman. Yeah.
all right, don't do my guy dirty like that, bro. But like Kubo made me care to explore that. Tabata didn't, bro. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like
There
at
are
some
levels
point,
to this shit. Yeah.
at some point, and it's fine if you reverse that. If you think the levels are reversed, that's cool. That's fine. That's whatever, right? But it's just to say, nah, man, I'm not like I don't not understand Black Clover. Well, maybe I don't, right? But I haven't been made to want to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not having me want to explore it on a further level is to some extent, like I said, to some extent, because some of it is readership bias, reader, have to put
Mm-hmm.
something in, right? But to some extent, it is the author's fault, right? Like when
Yeah.
I read Bleach the first time as a fucking kid in high school,
Mm-hmm.
no thoughts of like analyzing. I was like, yo, this. Granted, I'd only read like 3 manga at the time. I was like, damn, this might have been one of the best manga I've ever read in my life, and that's just remained true despite adding like a couple dozen more manga to that pile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
which is just like, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's just like I don't know. It's a different perspective to have on art. IMHO.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah,
Let me read the super chat real
W
quick, just because
discourse.